Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, April 3rd. We're into April, that much closer to the football season, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. I am your host, as always, Griffin Palmer, joined by Jason Cabrera. Jason, what's up, buddy?
Not a whole lot, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A little sad that the whole band's not together. As people may or may not recall from our sign-off on Friday's show, we're going to get into our rankings today. I know some people are probably here and excited for that, but probably noticing that the title doesn't say anything about rankings. Well, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, CJ the Hitman Hickman could not join us for this recording, so we decided to push it back since, these are rankings. We all have very differing opinions, and we figured that it's best for you, the fans, to know those opinions because some of them are widely differing, and we want you guys to have all the information. We just didn't think it'd be a very good show for us to speculate on CJ's thoughts on things, though we could fill the gap. I'm sure you'd want to hear it all from his mouth, and some things I even have questions about. I'm sure you feel the same way, Jason. So we're going to push that back to probably Friday's show. Hopefully he'll be back by then. So I guess let's keep going. So, Jason, you ready for today's mock draft?
It should be interesting. I don't think you and I have ever mock drafted by ourselves before, so this should be interesting.
I know I've done one-on-ones with CJ. I know I've done one-on-ones with Ryan way back when. I don't know if we have. So this should be interesting because usually, I would say more times than not, we're more in sync than not. Like, CJ tends to be the kind of thing that kind of throws off the rhythm at times, which he thrives in. That's what he loves to do. He loves to be that guy, and he's got his arguments, and they're good, and but you and I tend to be more aligned in our thought process more than not. Obviously, we have difference of opinions. Our rankings alone show that. So this should be interesting. We're gonna do a half point per reception mock draft today. So before we get to that, welcome to the show, as we already said. So we're going to get to that. So my doc says early consensus rankings. That's not accurate. Got to fix that. And we're going to cover some top headlines because there is a bit of news to get to today. Before we get to any of that, please make sure you guys subscribe wherever you're listening. iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Podcast Addict, Google Play, the works. You guys can support the show over on patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. And make sure you guys give us a rating and a review. It helps the show out an astronomical amount, and it doesn't cost you a cent. It doesn't cost you a thing. We appreciate it very, very much, and we'll give you guys a shout-out on the show. So I guess with that, let's move right into our top headlines from around the league. A little bit of news to get to today, including one bit of... I saw this, and I the word shocking did come to mind, so we'll go with that. Now, a friend of Cleveland Browns general manager John Dorsey was reported by saying that the team will take quarterback Josh Allen with the number 1 overall pick, and then Saquon Barkley with the number 4, provided he is still there. So...
Those bastards.
My initial thought here when I first read this was, and we talked about this a little bit off the air, that is the absolute most Cleveland Browns thing that they could do because they were clearly just mesmerized by the big arm that we saw. There's the accuracy issues. There's a reason why this guy is projected anywhere from 3 to 5 out of the top 5 quarterbacks, and taking him number 1 overall, that is unexpected, to say the least. So, I don't know. Jason, what are your thoughts on Josh Allen potentially being the number 1 overall pick in the 2018 draft?
I can't fault them for this because, that's the guy that I've been enamored with for over 2 years now, watching Josh Allen. He's got a giant, massive arm. He's calm in the pocket. He's kind of got everything you need. And I think he's got the highest upside of any quarterback that's come out of the draft recently. So I get it. And like you said, this is a very, very Cleveland Browns thing to do. But honestly, I think it'd be kind of smart because they got Tyrod Taylor. So Josh is not going to have to play right away, which is good because he does need a little bit of work on his accuracy and his mechanics. So it's a smart thing. And if they're able to take Saquon Barkley at number 4, right there, you've got your quarterback of the future, and you've got your running back for now. And he, as we've already talked about, is going to be fantastic. So much as I hate it, I could totally see it happening.
I mean, this is a pick order that would, I feel, guarantee them Saquon Barkley because the Giants have come out and said that if he were available, the Giants would draft Sam Darnold with a number 2 pick. I mean, widely considered the number 1 overall pick. Exactly, he would be available. The Jets traded all that to move up for a quarterback. They're not going to just fall back and get a running back. They need a quarterback, so you know they're going to probably take Josh Rosen at that point. So Saquon Barkley would probably be there at 4. So, I mean, in a crazy way and turn of events, this could work. But, again, a guy who is widely considered the number 3 to number 5 quarterback. I would say, personally, for me, the number 3 to number 4, I kind of put Lamar Jackson behind the rest of them a little bit. But yeah, I would say most commonly, and let me know if because you're obviously the big draft prospect and ranker of the show. I currently have Sam Darnold going 1, Josh Rosen going 2. I currently have Josh Allen going 3, and then Baker Mayfield going 4. Does that sound about right to you?
I mean, as far as how people are going to draft, yes. As far as are they the best in those positions, absolutely not. I would not draft Baker Mayfield before I would draft Lamar Jackson.
Even though he's being said that he is just as talented with the arm as Sam Darnold is, it's just the height and off-the-field issues that are what are lowering him down the rankings?
I don't like Baker Mayfield's game. I've watched his game. I don't think he's as polished as Rosen is or as Darnold is. I think that he has a lot to learn, and I think he's going to get punched in the mouth in his first year, especially if he goes somewhere that makes him start right away. I feel like he's going to come in with a big head, he's going to get punched in the mouth, and he's going to have a rough year, and then he's going to have to figure it out. He's a little bit too close to Johnny Manziel, in my opinion, and not necessarily just in attitude, and also in the way he plays. So as much as I understand people's being enamored with him, I'm not a big fan. I like Lamar Jackson's skills much better than Baker Mayfield. His arm is actually livelier. He can throw the ball further, but he is less accurate. But he makes up for it with that running ability. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm drafting, I definitely would put Jackson before Mayfield, and I would actually, if you're looking for NFL ready right now, then Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen have got to be your number 1, number 2. But if you're looking for upside, Josh Allen's number 1, Darnold would be 2, then Rosen would be 3, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Well, that's what makes it interesting because clearly it's not a uniform, unanimous rankings because here the Browns are saying that they want to take Allen number 1 overall potentially. And obviously this is not an official report. You'll never get an official report about this from the team itself because this is the very lock and key shadow games type things that every team's playing right now, trying to throw everybody off the scent of what they're actually trying to do. So we won't actually know until the draft day comes around where the Cleveland Browns will pick number 1 overall. But it's interesting, and this is a source very close to the general manager, so I guess time will tell. Let's move on to the quarterback position, where quarterback Geno Smith signed a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. He will be backing up Phillip Rivers. I don't have many thoughts about this. I think it's a good situation for him if something happens to Phillip Rivers because they are just loaded with offensive pass-catching talent, and we've seen Geno Smith have decent flashes at times. So, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be jumping on the waiver wire and burning a lot of priority to get the guy, but he would be, I think, a very safe, streamable option if the need be. Would you agree with that?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, he's had some experience starting, and that's always good to have in a backup quarterback. And I think that's his position. I think he is a backup quarterback in this league. But I'll tell you what, if he gets an opportunity this year and he screws it up, this might be it for Geno Smith. We may not see him in the league again.
Well, time will tell. Let's go to the running back position where the New York Jets have signed former Seattle Seahawks running back Thomas Rawls. So this is one of the top free agents we were talking about on Friday's show. Looks like he found a home, and the situation in New York gets that much more cluttered. I personally am a little bit confused about this signing. I mean, obviously it's a depth move, but I don't know if he's anything more than a camp body at this point. Because right now, of course, they've got Isaiah Crowell, who they brought in, spent a decent amount of money on to bring in as their starter. Bilal Powell's there, Elijah McGuire, who they like, and then Thomas Rawls and Jeremy Langford are somewhere in the mix for the number 4 running back, maybe. they've got, I think, 8 running backs under contract right now, I think. So that's a lot of backs. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
They're the Patriots this year. They're the Patriots, man. It's like, how many running backs do you need? I think Crowell, as you said, is going to be the guy. But Thomas Rawls, when he gets an opportunity and when he's healthy, he's very good. I mean, they may be thinking of him as like the nuclear option, because I mean, once you rip the tab off of him, he's good for 2 or 3 uses, and then injured, So I don't know. Maybe they're thinking using this guy in case of emergency. Break glass for Thomas Rawls in case of emergency.
I mean, for the limited time you have him, kind of like you said. So we'll see. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. There's a bit of news that will just hit because it's relevant, but not necessarily pertinent to fantasy football. This one is, though. There are more talks, even more rumors that are kind of heating up surrounding New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. trades being real. In a recent quote, ESPN's Adam Schefter was quoted as saying that it is a very real, absolutely real possibility that it happens. So we all knew that the Giants were listening but not pursuing, but kind of more rumors coming out saying that they're honestly looking to offload this guy. And we know they set the 2 first-round amount that what they're looking for him. But, I mean, if they're really trying to offload this guy, you might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper. They might just take the best offer available. I still think it's kind of ludicrous to be getting rid of a future Hall of Fame talent wide receiver, but I mean, the team obviously sees something that frustrates them. The question is if it's enough to actually move on or not. And a point that's constantly being made is that, I mean, he is there in New York with a new regime. I would imagine his talent kind of goes past that little barrier, but, I mean, here we are on April 3rd talking about Odell Beckham Jr. still possibly being a trade candidate. So I don't think there's much more that needs to be said that we haven't said in the past because, obviously we don't have new news. We do know that Odell Beckham Jr. has come out and said that he would love to play for the Rams. He's talked to a lot of personnel on that team. There have been things that have kind of broken there, but, of course, the 2 first-round picks is pretty steep. The fact that you're going to have to pay him a massive contract. I mean, he's looking to make somewhere in the ballpark of $20 million a year at the wide receiver position. So it's a steep price to obtain Odell Beckham Jr. So is there anything new you want to add to this argument, Jason?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of a wait and see. Let's see what's going to happen. I mean, there's several teams I'm sure would love to have that kind of talent on their team. The Giants, I don't know. I mean, I kind of applaud them for this move, even looking at this, because it kind of tells their team, you know what, we're worried about what's best for the team, not necessarily keeping as much talent as possible, but moving forward with what's best for our team. So,
yeah, well,
okay.
Time will tell. That's
time will tell.
Yep, actions speak louder than all these rumors, so we will see. In a run of wide receiver signings that have little direct impact to fantasy drafts, they will definitely be waiver wire flex guys. The Arizona Cardinals signed former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Bryce Butler to a 2-year deal, so more depth than surrounding Larry Fitzgerald. Oakland Raiders have signed former New York Giants wide receiver / return specialist Dwayne Harris. The Minnesota Vikings have signed former Chicago Bears wide receiver Kendall Wright, and the Cleveland Browns have signed former Green Bay Packers wide receiver Jeff Janis. So some decent names in there, some deeper leagues, names that you're probably familiar with. But again, I don't think any of these guys are ones you're going to be racing out to be drafting on draft day per se. So I don't know, Jason, any of these names jump out to you that you want to talk about before we move on?
No. I think the only one who's got an opportunity to start would be Bryce Butler, just because things are so up in the air in Arizona right now. But and I like Janis. He played really well. But Cleveland right now, as we've already talked about a couple times, is getting pretty loaded with talent at the wide receiver position. So I'm not expecting him to start.
Yeah, I really don't know what the thought process is with bringing him in. I mean, obviously it's adding even better, more depth and more talent to that core, but obviously the starters are locked. Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, Jarvis Landry in the slot, but can play outside. I would probably pencil Jeff Janis in as potentially their 4th wide receiver, though. I don't think Ricardo Lewis or Rashad Higgins are going to supplant him. But, I mean, he never really mounted anything in Green Bay, so if he can't make something of himself in Green Bay, odds are he probably won't make something of himself in Cleveland. So maybe we're just a little bit too blinded by his is coming from the Packers offense. So we'll see. Yeah, Kendall Wright, Dwayne Harris, they'll be role players in their offenses. Let's move on to some tight end news. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski's situation reportedly remains unchanged, and that is that the New England Patriots expect him to return. This is the what they are assuming and what they're going with and what the feeling is around the organization. However, there have been reports that have come out, including from the Boston Sports Journal's Greg Bedard, that has said that, quote, Bill Belichick's friendly source, end quote, so we don't really know who that is, but he said that the longer that Rob Gronkowski goes without committing to the team, the chances increase that he will be traded by the Patriots. So, it's scary if you're playing in a dynasty league and you are a Rob Gronkowski owner, because if he retires, that's terrible. If he goes to a bad situation, that sucks because you're not going to be able to get much value for him. In redraft, it's just something we're going to have to sit and wait and watch. And, I mean, I think we would all agree that probably the best situation for Rob Gronkowski is to come back and play with the Patriots because he already has an amazing rapport with Tom Brady. So, I mean, again, this is something we've talked about decently extensively over the last couple episodes and weeks. So, Jason, do you have anything you want to add or anything new that you've been thinking about or hearing?
With Gronkowski, again, it's a wait-and-see situation. I mean, this would be very New England of them to do, to trade the best tight end in the league, possibly one of the best tight ends of all time, and just trade him. I mean, I could see New England pulling something like that, but I still expect him to return to the team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all these arguments being made in his young career. He's only in his late 20s now. He's not even 30 by, what is he, 28 right now, I think? They're talking about how he probably made an argument for being the best tight end of all time, definitely a Hall of Famer. Well, we'll see. I expect him to come back, personally. I know that I think we all do here. Right, Jason?
I would expect, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a waiting game. Maybe this is his way of trying to hold out, not doing camps, or trying to do some wrestling pay-per-views. Who knows? But yeah, I think he'll be back. And last bit of tight end news. The New York Jets have claimed former Oakland Raiders tight end Clive Walford off waivers. This, to me, is another depth move. I'm trying to remember who all they have at tight end. I don't know if they're bringing him in as a blocker. Let's see. So, well, no, maybe not, because Jordan Leggett is their starting tight end right now. So maybe Clive Walford might compete for the starting job with Austin Sperrin-Jenkins departed. Oh, the Jets.
Gotta love the Jets.
Man,
they're going to be interesting. Hey, you know what? They won a heck of a lot more than we expected them to last year. So
we thought they were going to be the winners team.
They understand something.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they moved up in the draft. You know, I mean, they moved up to, what are they, third now?
Third. They are third.
Picking third. They're going to get one of those top 4 quarterbacks.
Yes. Josh McCown there, Teddy Bridgewater, they're on basically a nothing deal. Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, Joel Stave, and whoever they're going to be drafting, because they're not going to keep 6 quarterbacks on the roster. So, yeah. And with that wraps up the news. So, a little bit of boring stuff, some housekeeping, some stuff that we just had to update you on. And now we're going to move on to the fun part. We're moving on to our 12-team half-point per reception mock draft. So this is a consensus style. This is, I know my favorite way of doing it. I know this tends to be the listeners' favorite way. Jason, I don't know if this is your favorite way to do this, but it's fun.
That, consensus?
The consensus style, yeah. It causes some arguments.
It's interesting. I mean, it causes a lot of good debate between the three of us when there's 3 of us together. But like I said, you and I have never done this before, so this will be a first.
If this is just smooth sailing, it's going to probably make for terrible radio, but we'll see how it plays out. All right, so we are going to randomly generate a number. Oh, no.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, no, this is going to suck. I
already don't like doing this with you. I don't like doing it with you anymore.
You know what? It could be awesome. So we randomly generated the number 12 draft pick. Oh, man, long runs. At least we'll have a chance to really think about what we want to do. Okay, so we talked about, and we talk about this a lot in previous years, looking at the talent that's out there and at what point things start to dry up, which is something we can't really deep dive into until we finalize all of our rankings and the draft is settled and we have those new guys kind of sectioned in there into our rankings. that's when we really start seeing the fall off in talent. Like last year, I made an argument saying that it was probably better to be in the back half of the first round than in the early half because of the talent that was really, really there through the halfway point of the second round, and you being able to get 2 elite talents. There's a lot of talent out there. I mean, there's many more what we would consider elite fantasy running backs. There's only a handful of top-tier elite wide receivers, but the next tier below that is pretty darn deep. So I don't know. Maybe this works out. This is how we learn, everybody. We're doing it live. We're finding out on the fly. So we're gonna start our draft, and we are off. So to start off the draft, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown, David Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Ezekiel Elliott, Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Julio Jones are all gone.
This is awful.
So
this is awful. I don't like this.
This is tough. Now, are you as surprised by I am that Dalvin Cook went as the 10th pick in the first round?
No, not at all. I was looking at my rankings recently, and he's pretty high up on my rankings too because of how well he did when he had his opportunity before he got injured. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
I mean, I agree. I think that he is. He's going to look. He was on fire last year. He was on my fantasy teams until he got hurt, which sucks. But that leaves a wrinkle of injury concern. But yeah, I still think he's going to be awesome there. And with Kirk Cousins there, they're going to have to respect the pass. I think he's going to be very good. I don't know if he's actually going to go in the first round or not, but I expect him to be a high second-round pick. So, I mean, not too far off.
The two things that bothered me about this top 11 is Alvin Kamara at number 9. I don't like that. He's a third down back. Yeah, he had a fantastic season, but again, we talked about this already. He's going to revert. You know, I think he's going to drop back a little bit because people are going to start game planning for him, and they're going to know he's coming. I would be more apt to take Mark Ingram before I would take Alvin Kamara. And then the other one is Michael Thomas at number 8. I think he's going to be good, but I don't know if I would take him as the 4th wide receiver off the board. I think that's a little rich for my blood.
Taking, I'm sorry, who was it? Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
And as the 4th wide receiver off the board, I don't know if I would do that. That seems a bit high to me.
Well, here we are. We're sitting at the number 12 pick. And to me, I think that, I mean, I don't know about you, so I don't want to speak for you, but I'm not buying into a strategy. I know we like to be fluid here.
No.
And I've been hearing arguments 2 and 4 against it, this season based on depth at certain talents. I know, again, don't want to speak for you, but I know we're generally pretty uniform on this. We don't like that because we don't like forcing ourselves into a situation where then at the 3-4 turn, we have to take X position. We like to stay fluid with it. So, to me, I think the smart move is to go 1-1 here. I think that there's a serious amount of running back and wide receiver talent, but that'll be pretty dried up when they come back. So we'd like to lock down and get at least one high-end player at each of those positions. So I'm looking at Kareem Hunt right now. I know this is a half-point per reception league. He had 53 receptions last year. So, I mean, not the most heavily involved wide receiver, but he was also the leading rusher in the league last year, and I think that the offense is going to, with Alex Smith gone, it's hard to say be more consistent, but they brought in Sammy Watkins, so I think that they're going to be respecting the pass even more, and I think there's going to be a lot of lanes for Kareem Hunt to just go. So I think he's the best option right now. For me, it'd be between him and Melvin Gordon being a half-point per reception league. So my vote's probably Kareem Hunt right now. What's your thoughts?
Well, I was actually looking at Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, and LaShawn McCoy because LaShawn McCoy is going to get a lot of passes.
LaShawn McCoy scares me, though, because he's 30 and he has so much tread on those tires.
Yeah.
I agree that he is one of those top talents, and he has been for a long time, but he scares me a little bit this year.
Yeah, and the other one was Mark Ingram, too, but I think we can get him later on, maybe. No, but probably not.
He'll be gone.
I agree with you. Kareem Hunt, I think, is probably the play. You got an amazing arm talent now in Patrick Mahomes there, so, yeah, I definitely would go that direction.
All right, so we have grabbed Kareem Hunt. So, I mean, I guess I just did this whole spiel about going 1-1, trying to get those elite talents. But the wide receiver position, much deeper than running back. So, are you tempted to grab a second running back right now, or would you rather stay fluid?
I am tempted. I'm still looking at Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon. I'm not a big Melvin Gordon believer, but there are the Mark Ingram is there. Joe Mixon's there, but we might be able to pick him up on the turn.
He's going to be one of those post-type sleepers that we'll be hopefully able to get later.
Is that Ingram?
No, Mixon.
Oh, Mixon, yeah. As far as wide receivers go, I don't believe in Keenan Allen at all, so I wouldn't even consider him yet. AJ Green, I like. Tyreek Hill, obviously, I like. I like Adam Thielen, but I don't see him as our number one guy. Josh Gordon is all the way down at 17 down there. That's crazy to me. I think he's going to be a number one overall guy.
Well, we'll see. Look, I know he's done it in the past, but it's been a long time since that happened. Brand new regimes, different quarterbacks. I know Tyrod's there, which is great, and we'll probably see a rookie in there at some point. So it's definitely possible with all those weapons there, but I'm also worried that it might be...
I mean, he was great last year. Gordon was great last year when he got in there.
But when he did it in Cleveland that 1 year, he was also the only mouth in that offense. There's a lot there now. Jarvis Landry's going to command a ton of targets, so I don't know. I think he'll be a solid number 2 with number 1 upside. But we gotta make a pick though. So I guess the bottom line is,
what's your call?
Well, I would love to grab either AJ Green or Mike Evans here. Maybe Devontae Adams as well. Those are kind of the 3 names I'm looking at right now. If I wanted to double up at running back, this is a half-point per reception league, so wide receivers are even more valued. The position is a lot easier to fill. You could argue that gives a lot more of a boost to more so-so running backs, but we've got an option in Melvin Gordon, who caught even more balls last year than Kareem Hunt did, and he's been a perennial number 1 running back. I know I'm not his biggest fan, but among what we have in front of us, I would want him in a half-point per reception league because Leonard Fournette, not very involved in the passing game at all. LaShawn McCoy, injury risk scares me a little bit. So I'm fading on him this year. Like I said, I believe in the talent, but the injuries are concerning. So let's make a pick. Do you want to double up on running back here since it's going to be such a long run and there's plenty of wide receivers to get a boost during this scoring format, or would you rather get an elite wide receiver and build through the draft?
Yeah, let's grab a running back, and because Larry Fitzgerald is a target magnet. He's going to get lots of targets, and he's further down the list. And there's a lot of guys like that.
Larry, I think, has a number 1 season in front of him this year for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. With Sam Bradford throwing the ball, yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
All right,
so I would say let's go ahead and I can't stand Melvin Gordon, but
I know
you're right. You're right. Of the guys on the board in front of us here, I think he's probably going to get the most amount of targets. So I would say Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I know everyone out there is screaming at us, no, you need to take one of those elite wide receivers. Yeah, but we have really, really long runs here. So the wide receiver position, we can get a lot of similar talent guys, a lot of good PPR guys down the line, but these running backs, they dry up quick. So let's get 2 elite running backs, and then we won't have to worry about it for a while. We can get a plethora of good wide receivers. So we have Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon. That's a pretty darn good 1-2 punch at running back, if I do say so myself.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
All right, so after us, Leonard Fournette did go. Josh Gordon, somebody sniped him. Keenan Allen went. Mike Evans, AJ Green, so run at wide receiver. Saquon Barkley went in the middle of the 7th. Doesn't even have a team yet. Mark Ingram is gone. LaShawn McCoy, Devontae Adams, Rob Gronkowski, his status up in the air, and Jordan Howard. Top of the 3rd, T.Y. Hilton, Brandon Cooks, Devonta Freeman, Doug Baldwin, Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen. Oh, these runs are long. Christian McCaffrey, Jerick McKinnon, Stephon Diggs, Zach Ertz, and Dez Bryant. So
Zach Ertz. Man, that's so early for Zach Ertz. Wow. He's good, but really? The 3rd round?
Yep. So we need I like a lot. Man, now that we know this, I kind of like a lot of the running backs that are still here. Kenyon Drake, I still really like.
Kenyon Drake, yeah.
Joe Mixon's still here.
Right, you know what? We can pick 1 and 1 now, and then that would fill out our wide fill out our running backs and give us a good wide receiver. But we need a wide receiver. So
we absolutely need to get at least 1 wide receiver right now. Yeah. I could argue 2. I
like Allen Robinson, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jarvis Landry right now.
Well, let's talk about it because Alshon Jeffrey, this is not a full point per reception, so he's still a viable option. He doesn't get a ton of targets. Amari Cooper is going to be apparently just peppered with targets. John Gruden came out even recently and reconfirmed how heavily he's going to feature Amari Cooper in his offense. So That's intriguing. We don't really know. Allen Robinson in Chicago doesn't really excite me very much. I love the talent. I'm not sure how well the offense is going to flow. Larry Fitzgerald, I mean, he's going to get so many catches this year. He might set a career high in catches this year because he is just the only option. Jarvis Landry, I think, is going to take a step backwards. So, I'm
fine with Larry. I mean, he's always good for tons of catches.
Larry's the one that I think has a ton of upside. Do I want to make him my number one receiver? That kind of scares me with his age and injury risk, which he doesn't have a huge one, but it's something. But I'm happy to have him on the team, so I could take him as one of our wide receivers right now. So yeah, let's grab the PPR machine that is Larry Fitzgerald, because that gives us a really good floor. And then I know here we are on the 4th round, and I know a lot of times people are screaming that Aaron Rodgers is there. We should take him. I very much wait on quarterbacks, but if he's there in the late 4th, I'm definitely going to take him in the 5th. I know a lot of times he goes in the 3rd round, so this is how you see an expert draft goes. They don't take quarterbacks as early. So, Jason, are you tempted at all to grab Aaron Rodgers in the 4th round?
No. I would be much happier. I mean, I love Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, if it was the bottom of the 4th or top of the 5th, I'd be more apt to think about it. But there's still Deshaun Watson on the board. There's still Carson Wentz on the board. These are guys that throw the ball very well. Drew Brees is on the board. So there's a lot of quarterback talent that we can pick up. I'm not concerned about it.
I agree. So my vote would be here. We could get a flex running back, but I just feel like we probably should get more at wide receiver right now because it's going to be.
Well, how about Jarvis Landry?
I mean,
we're talking about.
And a half point per reception league. It's tempting. I mean, that gives him a big upside.
He's a reception magnet. I mean, he's going to get the ball a lot. I know it's a new face in a new place, but still, I mean, this is a guy that has consistently been a PPR monster.
Well, he's going to be playing in a division with tougher defenses. He's got a lot of mouths to feed. He's surrounded by the most talent he's ever had. He's got a different quarterback who likes to run the ball instead of just dumping it off. So it's really...
Well, no, Taylor doesn't run the ball. I mean, he runs the ball, but not... He doesn't go crazy.
He's not... Okay, let me rephrase. I'm just trying to paint a picture here. He's not Cam Newton. He's not going to just let me run. No. But he does run a lot.
Right.
Not something that these are all things Jarvis didn't have in Miami, which is why he got so many targets. I mean, to me,
do you feel more comfortable with somebody else?
Well, I think that our obvious debate here is Alshon Jeffrey, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry's in that conversation, especially because I still think he's going to get a lot of targets because he's playing in the slot. That's where he excels. Allen Robinson, of course, has a huge upside, but I mean, I don't know how much I like Mitchell Trubisky in that offense right now because there's some big steps that have to be made. A
lot of talent.
No, there's a lot of talent around him. Amari Cooper, there's this huge argument about how just heavily involved he's going to be, and Alshon Jeffrey, a home run hitter. So, I don't know. We got to make a pick. So, out of those 4 guys, where do you lean, Jason?
I don't trust Amari Cooper as far as I can throw him. I mean, he's going to be so involved. I don't care. He was supposed to be involved last year, and he was just awful.
Reportedly played through a lot of injuries, though, so we have to put that little gray area in there, but we don't really know. But
yeah,
I agree.
I don't trust it. Alshon Jeffrey is very good, but like you said, kind of a home run hitter. In a half-point PPR league, I'd rather get someone who gets a lot of volume. So that leaves Allen Robinson and Jarvis Landry. The problem is we don't know with both of those guys. Right. They're new faces and new places.
So I would argue I think by the end of the day, the end of the year, they might have similar volume. I think they'll have maybe the same amount of catches. I could see a world where Allen Robinson even has more targets, and I think Allen Robinson has the obviously big red zone touchdown upside. So, I mean, I love Allen Robinson.
I'm happy with Allen Robinson.
I could get behind that. I know people are going to scream at us.
I'm good with it.
Don't bite our heads off, everybody, because, look, we don't know. Allen Robinson is a clear number 1 there. Jarvis Landry is kind of in contention for a 1A type position in Cleveland. It's also the Browns. Not to say that there's much about Chicago recently that's much more incentivizing, but yeah, let's just, man, it's tough. Yeah, let's just lock it in. Allen Robinson. So we've got 2 big wide receivers who are going to have PPR upside and also big red zone threats that could end the season with close to double-digit touchdowns. I like that there. All right, so let's see what ended up happening in our. Oh man, I hate being at the end of a round. Kenyon Drake and Joe Mixon. No, both of the running backs we wanted went the next 2 picks. Juju Smith-Schuster, Amari Cooper did go. Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce. There's Aaron Rodgers, middle to the back of the 4th. That's where I would have been tempted to take him. Alshon Jeffrey went later. Marvin Jones, Demaryius Thomas, and Golden Tate. Top of the 5th, Jarvis Landry finally went. Tom Brady, Jay Ajayi, Jordy Nelson.
Wow.
I still don't know how I feel about Jordy Nelson in the 5th. I feel like that's probably where he's going to go. I just don't know if I'm behind it or not because I just have so many informed arguments on why he's not going to succeed in Oakland. A lot of it has to do with the quarterback. I don't know. Sorry, Oakland fans. He's just not Aaron Rodgers. I don't think anyone would argue that Derek Carr is Aaron Rodgers. Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
Interesting. Russell Wilson, Michael Crabtree, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz, Robert Woods, and Sammy Watkins. So that leaves us with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 picks to go at the turn at the 5-6 round. So, end of the 5th. What are we thinking here, Jason? We can go either direction. Any names jumping out to you? I see one that's jumping out to me.
You see one that's jumping out at you?
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't like Devin Funchess because I don't trust the quarterback. Pierre Garçon. That might be worth it because you got Jimmy Garoppolo there. Pierre Garçon was kind of the guy last year.
Number 1 target.
So he might be worth a look. Corey Davis is going to be better this year, but I don't trust the quarterback.
Right.
You look over at the running backs. Duke Johnson. We don't know. It's too murky. You know, I don't know.
He's behind.
Deion Lewis again, too murky. Chris Thompson,
too murky.
I think pretty much everybody in the top 5 on both sides here. The only one that really intrigues me would probably be Pierre Garçon.
I can get behind Pierre Garçon. He's the number 1 target in that offense, and we're getting him as basically a 6th-round pick. So I think he's going to get a lot of volume, and he's probably going to have a touchdown upside as well. So, yeah, let's grab him. He's our flex player. Right. We have Pierre Garçon. But we're not done yet. We have another pick.
So we do. I have to ask you, are you interested at all in Deshaun Watson here?
I mean, I'm not.
6th round.
Because I don't like how we had this entire amazing sample size that drove him up draft boards this year over basically 4 games. And if there's one thing we've seen in this league is that once a team, or the league, I should say, has had an offseason to analyze film and come up with a game plan, they minimize these players. I mean, look how well they keep in track players like Cam Newton or a lot of these other top talents from year to year. So breakout years happen. They make adjustments to the offense, new offensive coordinators. It takes a year for the defenses to figure things out, but rarely do players have these breakout years and just kind of keep it going unless you are like an Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson's not going to be good, if not great, but I'm not buying into Deshaun Watson as being one of these like top 5 quarterbacks, which is what I'm seeing everywhere. I've seen him going as a top 3 quarterback in a number of rankings. So I'm just like, there's no way I can get behind that. Not behind that sample size. Yeah. No, there's no way.
Yeah.
So we were arguing all last year. Guys, he's not a god. He's a man. He's going to fall back to earth. It's an unsustainable pace. He was going to break every NFL record that there's ever been if he had kept on that pace. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not a fan of it. But then again, I wait on quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, let's see. We've got Alex Collins in Baltimore. Yeah. Still got Duke Johnson there. I don't like it. Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller. He drives me nuts. He might be good in the PPR league, though.
He will have more value in a PPR, a half point.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah. Well, we can look further down. We got long runs, so let's look further down this list. You got guys like Marlon Mack, who's going to be the guy in Indianapolis, probably. You got Marshawn Lynch. Who's going to be the guy in Oakland?
Jamal Williams.
If you look over, we got Williams. He's going to be the guy. Samaje Perine. He's going to be the guy at least to start the year. You got Isaiah Crowell is going to be the guy for the Jets. If you look over with wide receivers, Nelson Aguilar, Doxson, Chris Hogan, Marquise Goodwin. I really like. Although we've got Pierre Garçon, so we've already got a San Francisco wide receiver. There's Sterling Shepard, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp got a lot of targets last year.
Yeah, he's gonna probably take a step this year. He's a good PPR option for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Any of these guys really shout at you?
Well, we've gone 3 picks without grabbing a running back, which always makes me a little itchy, especially knowing how injury-prone the position is. So, I mean, I'm definitely tempted to look the direction of a Rex Burkhead, for instance. He could have a pretty heavy involvement. I know they got Jeremy Hill there now, but I think Rex Burkhead's going to be their 3-down back. Jeremy Hill might be
their
home run hitter.
C.J. Anderson?
C.J. Anderson is one of those ones I just don't know because we heard all these rumors about how they might cut him. I don't know what they're going to do in free agency, who they're going to bring in. I mean, Jamal Charles is gone, so that's a positive for him.
Something.
So, and I don't know if anyone else on that depth chart really concerns me for targets. And if he can stay healthy and put it together, we've seen him be very, very talented. But, I mean, Devontae Booker, in every opportunity he's gotten, I don't think he's been overly impressive. So, I mean, I could get behind C.J. Anderson as a 6th-round pick if we wanted to add some running back depth. And then we could grab one of those other running backs that we were talking about later on when we pick again at the end of the 7th.
That's a turn, yeah.
As far as if we look across the board at wide receiver, Devin Funches has some upside, but Cam Newton is the quarterback, so volume is always a concern. Corey Davis, we have to see it, quarterback problems as well. Devontae Parker, all the upside in the world, but we don't know how Ryan Tannehill is going to work out coming back, though Jarvis Landry gone is going to help him. Jameson Crowder, I'm not a believer. Sterling Shepard, well, I mean, who's going to be the quarterback?
Could be good.
Eli Manning is there, yes, but he.
I'll tell you what, if Odell Beckham Jr. gets traded, then Sterling Shepard shoots up my boards.
He does, but we saw him as being the only game in town last year with Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. being down, and he still wasn't like an elite talent by any stretch. But we were in the 6th round.
He was playing through a lot of injuries too, though.
He was.
I mean, he was banged up all year.
Yep, Cooper Kupp, Will Fuller, Robbie Anderson. There's a lot of names out there, and we're taking a long time with this pick, but we want to narrate all of our thoughts because this is confusing.
I'd say Lamar Miller or either Lamar Miller or C.J. Anderson for me, probably.
Lamar Miller concerns me because he could be a cut candidate. They're talking about trying to maybe bring someone else in, but I look, okay, I've always been the Lamar Miller truther on the show, and I think that he gets a big boost with the passing game working, with Deshaun Watson being back. I don't think Deonta Foreman is going to be 100% at the start of the season, so Lamar Miller, this could be the last year that he's worth anything, and as a 6th-round pick, as a flex option running back, I can get behind it. C.J. Anderson's also very injury-prone, like we said. They're probably going to bring someone else in. I like the offense better in Houston, so yeah, I can lead Lamar Miller here. You want to do that?
Fine with me.
All right, Miller. Let's add Lamar Miller. Oh, man, if he could only get back to his running back one day is when he was in Miami. All right, so Deshaun Watson did go next. Man, I mean, you're going to see it. It's going to happen. Whether it's a good choice or not remains to be seen. Corey Davis did go. Chris Thompson, Hunter Henry, Cam Newton, Emmanuel Sanders, Alex Collins, Greg Olsen, a lot of tight ends and quarterbacks now, Drew Brees, Duke Johnson, Evan Ingram. Top of the 7th, Kirk Cousins, Devin Funches, Dion Lewis, Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Doxson, Julian Edelman, guy who's been pretty heavily forgotten about to this point, Sterling Shepard, Marlon Mack did go, Delaney Walker, Jared Goff, and Robbie Anderson. So now we are sitting at the back of the 7th. We have 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers. 7th round. We have the 7th and the 8th round picks right in front of us. Where are we looking? C.J. Anderson made it back to us, though there's plenty of running backs that we like that are deeper down. I don't know. There's quite a few wide receivers that intrigue me at the very least. Devontae Parker, I like his number 1 upside as a late 7th round, basically 8th round pick. I can get behind that. Cooper Kupp is a great PPR option. I mean, obviously this is half point per reception, but I think he takes a big step this year, especially with Sammy Watkins being gone. I can definitely jump on him right now. Will Fuller was a home run hitter, not really PPR option. Maybe they get the magic going again with Deshaun Watson, but I don't think he's a week-to-week starter. He's definitely he's a low floor, high ceiling play to me. Benjamin Watson doesn't excite me. Chris Hogan. We don't want Marquise Goodwin because we already have Pierre Garçon. I mean, those are the top wide receivers. Yeah, I could get behind Cooper Kupp right now, or Devontae Parker, or both, honestly, because it's a half point per reception league. So that's where I'm looking. At running back, there's C.J. Anderson that we talked about. Rex Burkhead's still there. A number of the running backs that we said that we liked are still there that are much further down the list. We don't need to go into that in-depth detail. Where are you looking, Jason?
Well, let's see. I had my eyes on, I saw C.J. Anderson still sitting there. I saw Marshawn Lynch. Let's see. Jamal Williams is still there. You mentioned Cooper Kupp. I do like Cooper Kupp. Again, I thought he got a lot of nice targets. I'm also kind of looking at Jimmy Graham. It's kind of staring me in the face, too. We're in the seventh. We're in the bottom of the seventh, top of the eighth. I think that'd be okay, taking a tight end this late. I don't like a lot of the tight ends. That's the problem. Tight end is very kind of thin, because you got Kyle Rudolph, who's in Minnesota, who knows how he's going to mesh with Kirk Cousins. Jack Doyle, I've never liked. Jordan Reed's hurt all the time. Eric Ebron is in a new place and not very good. O.J. Howard just got competition. Tyler Eifert is hurt all the time. Trey Burton intrigues me, so we could maybe try to wait for Trey Burton to come back around. But after him, there's just not a lot of talent left over in the tight end division.
I feel like this is the toughest part of the draft, is the middle rounds, because I feel like it's pretty clear-cut the early rounds. I think we really like the late-round sleepers. There's a lot of guys that we really like with upside, and usually that's the tough part for most people, but for us, I feel like we're going to thrive in the later rounds. But right now in the middle, finding good value, that's the tough part, and that's why this is, I think, taking so long. So, okay. So we agree on Cooper Kupp. There's plenty of running backs that we could get behind. I'm not sure if the value is great on them. There's plenty of running backs later on that I think we could get that we'd be equally happy with, and we could save, get them 20-plus picks later. Jimmy Graham, I'm not, as you know, a fan of tight end before double-digit rounds, but I think that he is an intriguing option right now. With Jordy Nelson being gone, I especially like the upside of Jimmy Graham, so I could get behind that. So I'm gonna leave this pick to you, Jason. Who do you want to grab right now?
Let's go ahead and grab Jimmy Graham.
All right, so we're gonna draft our tight end at the back of the seventh. A lot of upside in Jimmy Graham being the number one target in the red zone. Well, no, I don't know. Devontae Adams is going to be the number one target probably, but one of the top two targets in the passing progression. And now I feel like we have to draft Cooper Kupp because it's just staring us in the face. A great PPR option in the eighth round. So I think that pretty much rounds out our wide receiver core because that gives us 4 wide receivers. We'll get another guy a little bit later on, but I think we should get some running back depth now. All right, so Chris Hogan, Tevin Coleman, C.J. Anderson, Rex Burkhead. Oh, man, running back run. That's no good. Devontae Parker.
I was hoping Jamal might be there.
Dang it, Jamal Williams went. Jamison Crowder, Chris Carson, Nelson Aguilar, Aaron Jones, Darius Geis, top of the 9th, Marquise Lee, Will Fuller, Kyle Rudolph, Rashard Matthews, Kelvin Benjamin, Marquise Goodwin, Samaje Perine, oh, God, running back run again, Tyree Cohen, Marshawn Lynch, DeMarco Murray, and Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
Man.
Wow.
All right, well, we played with fire. We got a little bit burned there. A couple of the guys we were hoping were going to fall did not at all. So here we are. We're in the back of the 9th, and we need some running back depth, if you ask me.
For me, I think Isaiah Crowell is the play here. He's the number one guy where he is. He's going to be the number one guy. Going to get the majority of the handoffs. I would probably go with Isaiah Crowell if it was me.
I agree. Being this late to get a first, second down back at the very least, I think that is great value for basically a double-digit round pick, the last pick in the 9th round.
Yep.
So Isaiah Crowell on the team. Now, top of the 10th. Do we want to get our 5th running back?
Well, who are you looking at?
Well, a lot of the guys I was really hoping would be here are gone, so it makes it really kind of thin. Let's see. Bilal Powell is the handcuff. We don't want that. Devontae Freeman's a handcuff for us. I don't want that this early. Detroit Lions running backs and New York Giants running backs don't excite me. James White is a interesting PPR back, but I don't know how heavily he's going to be involved. Amir Abdullah again, Peyton Barber, Doug Martin, Sony Michel. Yeah, I could wait on running back. There's not a lot of exciting things there.
I think we have to wait on running back.
Dang it. All right, so do we grab?
Well, we're in the 10th. We're in the 10th round.
We are in the 10th round.
And you got Matthew Stafford there.
But we also have Phillip Rivers that we can get later.
You do have Phillip Rivers, and you've also got Patrick Mahomes, who's probably going to be pretty decent this year. Oh, wow, Sam Bradford, way down the board.
Spoiler alert, Phillip Rivers is consensus for us much, much higher than most of these other guys. So I think we can maybe wait. Where's our draft?
I think you can wait too. Let's wait on that then. Well, last time we did that, it did not work out.
No, it didn't. But most teams don't draft
Randall Cobb,
quarterbacks.
Deshaun Jackson. What's that?
I was gonna say a lot. I feel like maybe it's just me because that's the way I draft. A lot of teams don't usually draft multiple quarterbacks, so we might be okay for a run. But we could also pull the trigger on him on one of these. Well, this is our 10th round pick. We already picked Isaiah Crowell. So
yeah.
Do we?
All right. So I'm thinking, honestly, for me, I'm kind of looking at Martavis Bryant.
Martavis Bryant. I don't know how I feel about that because isn't he now the third wide receiver on the depth chart? Let me look it up real quick. Because
yes.
Antonio Brown,
Schuster's there.
Yeah, and Juju were the number 1, number 2, and Martavis Bryant and Darius Hayward-Bay were in that 3-4 mix. So it's something. Randall Cobb's the number 2.
Corey Coleman's there. He's number 2.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Martavis Bryant gives us home run upside, so there's that. I mean, okay, so we're looking at Randall Cobb, a good PPR option, and he has some touchdown upside as well, but I don't think as great a one with Jimmy Graham there. Deshaun Jackson and Martavis Bryant are both home run hitters. D.D. Westbrook, I think, is going to be more of a home run hitter. Ted Ginn is a home run hitter. All the PPR backs or wide receivers are gone, so I guess it comes down to who do we like the most.
Yeah. Man. I think out of all of these guys, the only one that really has shown consistency throughout his career has been Bryant, honestly. I mean, Randall Cobb has been extremely inconsistent. He's been great sometimes, and other times he disappears. Bryant is always involved.
Well, Bryant didn't really do anything last year because, remember, he was at one point maybe going to get cut from the team, off the field issues. But besides that, I agree. When he's not suspended. When
he's not suspended, he's good. And no one I would say Paul Richardson, honestly, if I knew that he was going to have good rapport with Alex Smith, but we don't know. With this new face in a new place, we just don't know how he's going to
do. Corey Coleman's here. Kenny Stills was pretty darn good last year, and now Jarvis Landry's gone, so I feel like his volume has to go up.
Yeah, you got Tannehill throwing the ball again, which is good.
Oh, yeah, it's better than Cutler. I could honestly get behind Kenny Stills in the 10th round. He has home run upside, but I think he's going to be heavily involved enough to be a decent volume option.
Yeah, with no Landry, I think you're right. All right, I'm good with Kenny Stills.
All right, let's draft some upside in Kenny freaking Stills. All right, he's on our team. Deonta Foreman, D.D. Westbrook, Corey Coleman, Bilal Powell, Deshaun Jackson, Rashad Penny, Wayne Gallman, Frank Gore, Theo Riddick, Jonathan Stewart, and Sony Michel all went in the 10th, top of the 11th. Randall Cobb, Amir Abdullah, Devontae Booker, Martavis Bryant, Eric Ebron, Danny Amendola, Jack Doyle, Paul Richardson, James White, Orleans Darkwa, and Mohamed Sanu. So now, no quarterbacks went. I feel that in the 11th, 12th round, you could talk me into quarterback. So would you like to pull the trigger on our Phillip Rivers at this point?
Sure. Yeah, I think Phillip Rivers is going to be great this year.
He is our highest consensus-ranked running back, which the listeners don't...
Quarterback,
which the listeners don't really know because we haven't done our quarterback ranking show. That was supposed to be today. Hey! Thanks, CJ. So, all right, so that's gone. So now we still need to fill everybody in. We still need a defense, a kicker, and 2 more flex positions or bench positions.
You know what? I say we grab the Jags right now.
You want to?
So there's some really good sleepers, running back and wide receiver sleepers that we can look at later. But I think we have an opportunity to pick up the highest scoring defense in fantasy, and that would be the Jags.
You want to get a defense in the 12th round.
I know. You hate me. I know. Talk me out of it. Convince me.
Well, besides the fact that there's a good chance that it'll be here at our next pick, even after the long run. But we do these things to learn. So if I'll you know what? We are where are we? We are basically out of time, so we got to do these rapid fire. You want to do the Jags?
Yeah, grab the Jags.
All right, we drafted a defense in the 12th round.
Griffin now hates himself, just so you people know.
I really do. Jordan Reed, Mike Wallace, Ted Ginn, Doug Baldwin, or Doug Martin, rather, Peyton Barber, LeGarrette Blount, Giovanni Bernard, Matthew Stafford, Tyler Eifert, Dante Moncrief, I can't read, and Alex Smith at the back of the 12th. Top of the 13th, Ronald Jones, Dak Prescott, Ty Montgomery, Darren Sproles, O.J. Howard, Jameis Winston, Latavius Murray, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Matt Ryan, Spencer Ware. So we did beat the run on quarterbacks. That's good. I'm glad we pulled the trigger when we did. So now we need a kicker and 2 bench players. I feel like we need if I don't walk away with more running backs and wide receivers, I feel really bad about the draft because running back is one of those things that's hard to get.
In this particular draft, I don't think you should feel too bad about it because it's PPR, So it's a little different in this particular situation, but I understand what you're saying. Of the guys I'm looking at here, I think probably Joe Williams would be the guy I'd be looking at most as far as running backs.
Yeah, he caught my eye as a definite upside choice. Did we see Dixon go? No, Kenneth Dixon is there, who might be the starter in Baltimore. Right, he's going to have to earn the job.
Think he's going to be the starter?
I mean, the team wants him to be. So, I mean, look, we all like Alex Collins for fantasy, but he never really got the opportunity. He wasn't a great pass-catching option. They want Kenneth Dixon to be that 3-down lead back. So, I mean, it could be a sneaky late 13th round pick for us.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Williams, obviously, we like as an upside.
I'm all right with gambling with it. All right, let's do Kenneth Dixon.
You know, it's the 13th round. We're going to end up cutting people after week 1 anyway, and he might be the guy that we cut. So, all right, so Kenneth Dixon is on our team. And now we are sitting with one more bench spot. I say we grab our kicker, and then we come back for that.
I agree with you. Tucker, get him.
So let's draft Justin Tucker. There's a big run on defenses. I don't need to read them all because you guys can imagine. There's a big run on kickers. Yep. Every single pick between our pick of Justin Tucker and now were defenses or kickers. So now who do we want to round out our team? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. We can go either way.
Okay, so
who do we like?
I'm gonna say something nuts, and you're not gonna like it. But I'm gonna say it anyway.
I think I know what you're going to say.
I think the best... what am I going to say?
You're going to say to get Trey Burton.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I know you.
You do know me.
Yep.
Well, look, this is why I say that, okay? There are 3 ways we could go, in my opinion, here. Or 4 ways, excuse me. There are four ways we could go right now. Joe Williams, Mike Williams, Calvin Ridley, or Trey Burton, okay? Now, we've got, like you said, 5 of each, running backs, 5 wide receivers. So we're set at those positions. But as I already mentioned, tight end is thin. It is super, super thin. And I can't believe that Trey Burton slipped all the way down as far as he did. I think he's going to have exciting upside. And I think if we grab him, we're not going to have to worry about our tight end position because we've got 2 of the best in the league.
It just makes me feel dirty, but we have to get out of here. So it's a valid point. I wouldn't.
Don't use the time as an excuse.
I am totally using it as an excuse. I wouldn't do it in my drafts, though I understand the argument, so we're doing it. We got a backup tight end. So, we got a C+. Yes, that means we did good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only way you do well in these is to do exactly who they tell you to pick. So, yeah, as long as you're happy with your team, which I am, I feel good. So, to recap, we have Phillip Rivers as our quarterback, Kareem Hunt and Melvin freaking Gordon as our running backs. That's a great 1-2 punch at running back. Larry Fitzgerald and Allen Robinson as our wide receivers. We have Pierre Garçon in our flex position, Jimmy Graham as our tight end, Justin Tucker, and the Jags as our kicker and defense. That's an amazing starting lineup. Our bench, we have Lamar Miller, Isaiah Crowell, and Kenneth Dixon as our running backs. And then at wide receiver, we have Cooper Kupp, Kenny Stills, and then we have Trey Burton as a backup tight end. I think this is a star-studded lineup, especially good for a good volume group for half point per reception. I really like this team. So, I guess we will recap this a bit, maybe in the Patreon show, or maybe on Friday's show. Who knows? Because we don't know if we'll have CJ back, and we want the whole crew together if we're going to do rankings. So we will see. So I guess, everybody, check back with us on Friday when we'll be back with, I'll just simply say, another show. If you guys have any questions, make sure you submit them. Let us know what you think about this draft and what you would have done differently in the comments down below if you're here on YouTube or if you're following us via any one of the streaming services. You can also tweet at us. We are happy to take the criticism. We love to start a conversation. And, of course, we put most of our thoughts out here. But bottom line, there's no right answers. There's what you guys would like to see done, and there's what we did. And we didn't even agree with all the choices that we made between the two of us. So that's fantasy football, guys. So you can submit all of your questions or all those things through various sources. Of course, on Twitter is at the FF Fanatics, or individually you can follow me at GPalmerFFF or Jason at Jason Cabrera 13. You can email your questions to thefantasyfootballfanatics@gmail.com. Like we said, comment down below on YouTube. Just so many options. We're on Facebook. Any parting thoughts, Jason?
Guys, hope you enjoyed the draft, and hopefully we'll start getting our rankings out pretty soon. Remember, these are way, way early rankings, so bear with us.
We played with fire. We got burned on this draft, too, so keep that in mind in a couple of our rounds. But this is we don't know the average draft position of all these guys yet because it's in such flux, so this is how we learn. We learn by doing. All right, so we're out of here, everyone. Take care. We'll see you on Friday. Bye.